Yo, what's poppin' YouTube? Hey man, we got a blockbuster breaking news trade that happened a while ago. So it's not really breaking. It's not really. I mean, it's still a blockbuster, but it's not really breaking news anymore. But Russell Westbrook traded to the Washington Wizards for John Wall and a first-round pick. I'm gonna give you my initial reaction when I first heard it, when I saw it on my phone, when I was sitting at my desk at work and I seen the notification. Well, I don't have notifications, but when I opened Bleacher Report and I seen it, and then I'll give you what I feel about it now, because it's kind of it's a little bit different. But before we get into that, man, make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure y'all hit the subscribe. Make sure y'all hit the notification bell. Make sure y'all leave a comment. All of that stuff, man. Yeah, man. Let's go ahead and get right into it, man. Russell Westbrook going to Washington for John Wall and a first round pick. John Wall gets to Houston with James Harden. My initial reaction, well, first off, my initial reaction was how lateral the trade was. It's just very, one player, a player for player, and then they kind of threw that pick on for with John Wall. I guess because John Wall hasn't played basketball in a long time, and we all know what Russell Westbrook can do. They're both around the same age. The contracts are very similar, very big contracts. So it was a very lateral trade. You don't really see a lot in the NFL, NBA, because usually one player, two players for this player and a bunch of picks or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But besides that, my initial reaction was I didn't think that was a good fit in Houston. Well, sorry, let me start off with Houston. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me slow down. For Houston, I'm gonna start off by talking about what I think about Houston side of this trade. John Wall and James Harden, I didn't think that it was a good fit. Initially, when I first saw it, I was like, that's kind of a weird fit, because I'm sure either one of those players can play off of the ball, but I wasn't sure if either of them wanted to. But then when I thought about it, I thought about how, in relation to Russell Westbrook, John Wall is a much more, unselfish player, I would say. He's more willing to get teammates involved. So I can definitely see that working out with James Harden. Even though James Harden is going to be probably still the ball dominant player, he's going to be the one bringing it up the floor a lot of the times, if he's still around, because we still don't know what's going on with that situation if they want to trade him. But thinking about it now, I kind of actually like it. I think it can work. I think somehow, some way it can work. John Wall has an opportunity to. Well, first off, he gets out of a situation that he didn't like. But I think he has an opportunity to, shine with a star player, the best shooting guard in the league, and then he has a couple of solid bigs in DeMarcus Cousins and Christian Woods, and also PJ Tucker is going to be on that team. Eric Gordon, he's got a shooter around. I think it's a good fit for John Wall, where he can thrive, because he doesn't have to be the main scorer. He never really was that guy. So John Wall's made a living getting his teammates involved, and just what he has around him, I think is going to really, really benefit his game. Not to mention having James Harden, who can take the scoring load, the bulk of the scoring load, and whatever Boogie Cousins can deliver as well, if he can come back and provide a little bit of scoring. He's a better shooter than Westbrook, so I think for James that's good. I'm not saying he's a great 3-point shooter. I'm saying he's better than Russell Westbrook, which is definitely a fact. He's less streaky. He's probably gonna make better decisions. He's not gonna take as many bad shots as Westbrook would. But he's also probably a more consistent knockdown 3-point shooter, I would say, from Witten. I think all we can go off of with John Wall is the last time we seen him play. And I think back then, before the injury, he was a decent 3-point shooter. So I think that's a plus for that team and James Harden. John Wall also gets what he wants in getting out of that situation in Washington, which I'll talk about that a little bit later when I talk about the Washington side of it. But bottom line, John Wall gets what he wants. He wanted to trade, and he got traded. Point blank, period. John Wall also has a positive relationship with James Harden because I believe they work out together. So I think there could be a little bit of chemistry that could help that dynamic there. Also, him and Boogie are cool, so that's also a plus in the chemistry portion of the whole thing when you think about it. But the only thing that I'm really worried about when it comes to John Wall is just the fact that he hasn't played in over 2 years. He hasn't played basketball in over 2 years. That's 2 seasons. So I would say that's a little bit on the more concerning side when it comes to that situation in Houston. But overall, I think that's a good team. I think they're a good team. They're obviously a playoff team with James Harden, but I think they're, with the moves that they've made, I think they're a better team. Getting rid of that whole small ball game, bringing in some bigs, a different coach. I think they brought in the guy that was the offensive coordinator for the Mavericks, and when they had the number 1 offense in the league and all of that stuff. So I'm excited to see what goes on there, how that dynamic happens, with obviously the best scoring guard in the league, and then John Wall, who's a facilitator, and perhaps maybe who once was known as one of the best scoring bigs in the league, and DeMarcus Cousins, and then Christian Wood, who's young up and coming big. I'm curious. I'm excited to see how that goes. When it comes to the Washington side of the trade, Russell Westbrook gets into a situation where he can be the ball dominant player that he wants to be, that he couldn't be in Houston because James Harden, obviously. So he can be the guy bringing the ball up the court. He can be the guy, who's calling all the plays. He can be the quarterback. He's got Bradley Beal, who doesn't need the ball. He's out of those four, say Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook, John Wall, and James Harden. I would say Bradley Beal is the best off the ball. So that's definitely a plus for Russell Westbrook. He doesn't need to worry about, Bradley Beal taking his shine, but Bradley Beal is definitely still going to be able to eat playing off the ball and getting open, running off screens, and whatever he needs to do. That's going to be, I think that's a plus. I think this makes them a playoff team with Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is going to make you a playoff team just being Russell Westbrook by himself. So we've seen that. We've seen him carry the Thunder to a 6 seed by himself, averaging a triple-double 3 seasons in a row, right? So we know what Russell Westbrook can do. And he has Bradley Beal, a great three-point shooter. I don't know about his defense, but he's an offensive threat on all phases, and will be able to supplement a lot of scoring to take some of the shooting load off of Westbrook, so he doesn't have to take all of the bad shots, even though he probably still will, because it's Russell Westbrook. That's what he does. But I like that dynamic. I think that's a positive dynamic for them. I think going back to Westbrook, I think he is in a position where he has to make this work, being that this is the second time in a year, and around a year that he's been traded. He has to make this work, and that's going to be a plus for the Wizards because he has no real leeway. You know what I'm saying? Like, he has to he can't be Russell Westbrook going out there trying to jack up every shot, every three, and taking all the bad shots and trying to be hero. He has to be like the guy that's supplementing for the team and being that leader, that point guard. He has to be better, pretty much. He has to be more efficient. He's in a situation where he has to be more efficient because the teams that are gonna want to put up, not necessarily put up, because Russell Westbrook, I've heard, is a great teammate. But the teams that are gonna want to invest in that type of contract for the production, if he keeps producing how he's been in Houston, they're gonna shrink. They're gonna become less and less teams that are gonna want to take on that contract if they're not gonna get the production that they want. So he's in a situation where he has to step it up, be a little bit less a little bit more unselfish, get people involved, be more efficient, make smarter decisions, and just be the player that we all know him to be, pretty much. Know he can be. And yeah, man, it's going to be really up to him to make that kind of transition, especially with him getting up there in age. I can't remember how many years he has left on his contract, but it's enough to where I think that yeah, if he gets traded again, it's gonna be, you know, it's well, if he's in a situation where he needs to be traded again, it's gonna be tough to find a suitor. But what else do I have? Guaranteed playoff spot. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it from the Wizards side. I would say out of all, I don't see a real loser. I mean, obviously we have to wait for the season to kick off, and see how each team, you know, goes about this trade. But like looking at it from, you know, from just like from an eye test, just looking at it, it doesn't seem like either team is really a loser. If I had to pick a player that was a winner, I would say Bradley Beal's the winner, just because it didn't really matter if John Wall stayed. It didn't matter if John Wall stayed, if Russell Westbrook got traded, or even if he was by himself, just leading the team by himself. Bradley Beal was going to be good regardless, I think. I think more of the question would be the chemistry with John Wall and James Harden, which could work, and then Russell Westbrook's situation, you know, his situation with not really the chemistry with Bradley Beal, just him in itself being a more efficient player. But Bradley Beal, I think, was going to be good regardless, just because he's that good of a player where he can average 30 by himself, or he can be the guy, the second option, the running off screens and catch and shoot and all of that stuff. He can do that. So, yeah, man, this is a very interesting trade. I'm excited about it, and I can't wait. I don't know about y'all, but I was a big John Wall fan back when he was playing. I still am a big John Wall fan, and I can't wait to see him play, man. I just miss watching him play. He was like one of those guys where you just like, he was electrifying. So I can't wait to see John Wall play. And I think that's all I got on this topic, man. It was a very eventful hour after that happened. Twitter and everything was going off. So yeah, man, let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. And I am out. So make sure, again, y'all like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, all of that stuff, man. And let me know what y'all think. And yeah, I'm repeating myself. I'm gonna get out of here. Deuces.